All right, everybody. This is Lauren Burke. This is Lauren Live, and got some breaking news just is about to come on with regard to Marjorie Taylor Greene deciding that she's going to resign from Congress, and her last day is going to be January 5, 2026. That news comes right at a point where a bunch of members of Congress are getting death threats after the President of the United States, Donald Trump, decided to put out there on Truth Social that they should be executed for sedition for making a video saying that members of our military should, in fact, obey the U.S. Constitution. What a concept that they should obey the Constitution. Of course, when you swear to uphold the Constitution, when you take a office or a position of responsibility, um, you are not swearing your allegiance to the President of the United States. You're swearing it to the Constitution. Those members reminded members of our military of that. Donald Trump didn't like it very much, and that has led to a flood of death threats, which was already going on in Congress for a lot of folks, and has now gotten worse because of that episode. But on top of that, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who had already been under a lot of pressure for her willingness to get the Epstein files out in the public eye, and of course, President Trump doesn't like that very much, was already under a lot of pressure. Now she's resigning, which will bring the count in the House for the Republican Party to 218 in early January, which is quite interesting. Because if another member were to leave or pass away, that 218 number for the Republican Party is going to go to 217. And that will cause all sorts of havoc. But not to say that that's going to happen, but that makes it a very interesting situation. So at any rate, that's breaking news tonight. And that broke, I guess, about 20 or 30 minutes ago when she tweeted, and I say tweeted, I don't refer to X. She tweeted a letter explaining her position. I'll talk about that on another show when I get into the details of that. The show is on the visit of Zohran Mamdani, the mayor-elect of New York, a city I love very much because I was born in one of the 5 boroughs, that being the Bronx. And he visited the White House today, and to everyone's surprise, there was a great deal of friendliness going on between the president and Zohran Mamdani. The reason that's really surprising is, of course, the two of them have traded insults back and forth. And in fact, the acceptance speech that Zohran Mamdani made on the night that he won the election for mayor of New York was really pointed and was actually fairly epic. I was actually surprised that this meeting happened. But it did. And he was also apparently met today with Leader Jeffries at some point today. And that's all very interesting. A lot of people think that because he is, he's been defined himself as a socialist, that's going to be problematic. I think that what people want at the end of the day is results from their political leaders. So with that, I'm going to go over a few of the moments today in the Oval Office between Mamdani and President Trump.
Food and prices, and the price of oil is coming way down. That anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York, and we've got them down, way down from last year. We have, as you know, I've been saying to a lot of people, Walmart said that Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year. So that's good for New York, good for everybody. But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I will say there's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the president. And as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out. And I appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
President Trump, Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I've got a question for you and then also one for Mayor-elect.
Sure.
For you, you referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Can you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York?
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question. And on your first part, I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot from.
Very interesting answer there for Trump. He's punting, and he's punting because, of course, Mamdani right now in this moment is an avatar for the most important issue in this country, which is affordability, which the president has approval ratings diving and nosediving on. And so what people want to hear is what you're going to do to make prices lower. And if you're not talking about that right now, you're in political trouble.
When I first came to office, it's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. And some very liberal people, he won't surprise them because they already like him.
And Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago, you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you'd be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views. And what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers.
This kind of reminds me of when Bernie Sanders, and there was some polling back in 2016 that showed that some of the Bernie Sanders supporters were actually also supporting Donald Trump in some ways, because, of course, I think what is actually going on is that people are so fed up with the state of play in the United States with regard to the issues of everything, the cost of everything being so high, they will turn to anybody that has a new set of ideas, or at least says they have a new set of ideas that might make things easier. And that could be Bernie Sanders, and that could be Donald Trump.
And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
Mr. President, I'm Rashad from MTV Lebanon.
Good.
I would like to ask you a question about the Middle East regarding you said that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not in a good position. And Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment, like what you say for the Lebanese today, it's the independent state of Lebanon. And what is your next move to push toward disarmament?
Sure. Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and, frankly, everybody else. And we actually have peace in the Middle East. As you know, the King of Saudi Arabia just left yesterday. We had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have.
Notice how so much of the discussion is foreign policy. You have the mayor of New York standing there. I would argue the country's most important city. And yet we're talking a lot about foreign policy, and a lot of that is driven by the questions by the reporters.
Now over $20 trillion coming in. No country has ever had anything like that, not even close. If you go to 2 trillion or 1 trillion, it's a lot. We have 20 or 21 trillion dollars. I think that Hezbollah has been a problem in Lebanon, big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East. And we actually have now, for the first time, peace in the Middle East after 3,000 years. And now we're going to refine it. And I think you're going to see some very positive things happen.
There is the potential to invite the Lebanese president.
Oh, sure. Oh, I would do that. Absolutely. And if the mayor would like to be here for that meeting, because I know he feels very strongly. I think you feel very, very strongly about peace in the Middle East.
We desperately want it. And that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue and Fordham Road, I asked them why. I heard again and again two major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights. And
yeah, and they want to end to taxpayer money going overseas to fund those wars. And they want an end to $40 billion going to Argentina while being told that nobody can pay for our health care.
they wanted to address the cost of living crisis. And I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
You said a lot of my voters actually voted for him, and
One in 10.
and I'm okay with that.
President Trump, I hope this time as well.
I'll do that. I'll sign it. Give it to me. I'll sign it in a minute. That's pretty good.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please.
you threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both have differences when it comes to ICE agents in New York City. Mr. Mamdani, you called ICE a rogue government entity. I wonder how you reconcile your differences on both of those issues.
Well, I think we're going to work them out. And I think that if we have known murderers and known drug dealers and some very bad people, we want to get them out. And the mayor wants to have peace. We discussed this at great length, actually, maybe more than anything else. He wants to have a safe New York. Ultimately, a safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a success. So we're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get them out. I think he wants to get them out, maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We discussed it at great length. Yes, please.
Two questions, if I may. One for you, Mr. President, from BBC in a second. But first of all, for the mayor-elect, you're both from different parts of the political spectrum. You're both populists, though. And I just wondered to what extent the president's campaign style, his techniques, his social media, inspired any part of your campaign.
Well, I actually told the president that, so much of the focus of our campaign has been on the cost of living crisis. And when we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they spoke about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, the cost of Con Ed, the cost of childcare. And too often politicians are looking to lecture to New Yorkers what they should care about as opposed to listen. And when we spoke to those voters who voted for President Trump, we heard them speak about cost of living. We focused on that same cost of living. And that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
Amazing how we were talking about how Trump was they were going to suck money out of New York or not send money to New York or starve New York financially, which of course is impossible because New York is not going to be starved financially by the federal government. It's not going to work. At any rate, we went from that to these two basically agreeing with each other in the Oval Office on the most important issue of the day, which is affordability. It's pretty amazing to watch this.
And I think we have to work a little bit. We talked about Con Edison. We have to work a little bit on getting the prices because, we've gotten fuel prices way down, but it hasn't shown up in Con Edison. And we're going to have to talk to them. If we're sending them fuel at a much lower price than it was a year ago, which is true, we have to get Con Edison to start lowering their rates.
Absolutely.
And if I may, last week you told me you were pushing ahead with your plans to sue BBC for up to $5 billion. You're going to speak to Prime Minister Starmer as well. Is there any progress or any updates on those issues?
Well, we get along very well with the Prime Minister. We made a deal with UK. I like him. He's a fine person. And, I think they have some big energy problems. They've got windmills all over the place. They're going to have to start using other methods because.
Here we are talking about foreign policy again. It's amazing how much foreign policy comes up, isn't it? When the healthcare crisis is going on, there's affordability crisis going on. We've got something like 40 million people in poverty in the United States, but there's a lot of questions about foreign policy.
Their energy is out of control. Talking about in the UK, it's out of control. And he's got that problem. He's got a big immigration problem, as you know, and he's got a big energy problem. And we talk about it. He's a good man. Prime Minister's a good man.
You had a chance to speak this week.
I haven't spoken this week.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky, or do you intend to
Who?
speak to President Zelensky about your plan to meet with them?
I've spoken with their people. We have a plan. It's horrible what's happening. It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was president, and it's a shame. And I thought they should have acted quicker. But it's a cold winter, and a lot of the you talk about utilities, but a lot of the big energy producing plants have been under attack, to put it mildly, to put it nicely. We have a way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it. Just so sad. So many people. Last month they lost 25,000 soldiers. This is something we haven't seen anything like this since the Second World War. And they're averaging 6,000 or 7,000 a week between the two of them, dead soldiers. And it goes on and on. And I think they're getting reasonably close. But I don't want to predict. I would have said that would have been one of my early ones. I did 8 peace deals of countries, including in India, Pakistan. This
is Donald Trump's attempt to win the Nobel Peace Prize, which he's obsessed with because, of course, Barack Obama won it, so now he wants to win it, and that will probably never happen. So this is why he's talking incessantly about the peace deals that he's allegedly put together.
Even go, in fact, they're coming here in a week or two. Go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was 10 million people dead, and we worked something out on that. But so many, and the one I thought would have been, for me, because I have a very good relationship with President Putin, I thought that would have been maybe quicker, but it does take 2 to tango. And now you just see all the death. And, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people that really it's on the other side of the ocean. It's a war that should have never happened. It did happen. I blame the person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president. But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25,000 lives over the last short period of time. That's Ukrainian and Russian, and it's a shame.
What happened to President? I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats, all of House Dem leadership, and the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focused very little on resolutions. Frankly, I've been.
That's a question with regard to a House resolution that was voted on today, November 21, condemning socialism, and a bunch of Democrats joined on, including Hakeem Jeffries. Why that happened and how that happened, I have no idea. I mean, it happened because the Republicans put it on the floor. The question is, what is the Democratic Party doing? Kind of like the Charlie Kirk situation, where all of a sudden, there's this feeling in the Democratic Party they always have to be sort of, having parity with the Republicans. A very strange situation.
Focusing.
Socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. Mm-hmm. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist. And your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Mm-hmm. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about.
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
That's easier. It's easier than explaining it.
I have Trump defending Mamdani.
Also, about this Ukraine plan.
Yeah.
President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its dignity. There's been criticism that this deal.
You mean he doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of
he'll have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then they should just keep fighting, I guess.
The suggestion that he made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it, that the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine.
Well, at some point he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember, right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, "You don't have the cards." Don't forget, I inherited this war. This war never would have happened. I inherited this war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been the good deal. That could have been done too if you had the right president, but you didn't have the right president.
Mr. President, positive living is something that you and Mr. Mamdani seem to agree on.
Right.
Democrats have run New York City for a long time, Mr. Mamdani. Do you see Democrat policy specifically as being a problem? And I'd like that to be a question that both of you could answer in New York City.
Look, I think that there are many things in our city where we have to own the responsibility of it, things that existed long before the president was the president. And those are also part of the message of our campaign was to take on a broken politics of the past. And I ran against a number of candidates who represented different versions of that past. And what we found time and again is that working people were left behind in the politics of our city. And what we're looking to do is put those people right back at the heart of our politics so that we don't have a situation where we're in the wealthiest city in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a Metro card.
Mr. Mamdani.
You know, we had some
irony.
interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. But a big thing on cost, you know, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries. You know, it's sort of an old-fashioned word, but it's very accurate. And they're coming down high. They were, you know, we had, both of us, we had.
Actually, they're not coming down, but he keeps saying that. You know, Trump is very good at repeating the same thing over and over again. Whether or not it's true is another story. He really believes in the communication strategy around just repeating the same things over and over and hope that they sink in and the media is dumb enough to repeat them, which to this point, the media has been dumb enough to repeat them. We're going to go to the end of this here, see how this ended.
I care about that, but no, I don't particularly. I think I met with I met with a man who's a very rational person. I met with a man who really wants to see New York be great again. And I can say again, because New York was great. You know, when I came down to Washington initially, the city was so hot. It was doing great. We were having some telltale signs of problems. We had a mayor that was not doing a great job, but still, it was moving along. And it went bad. It really went, you know, pretty bad. And I think it's been at lower points, but it went pretty bad. I think he can bring it back. Now, the question is, will he bring it back all the way? Will he bring it back greater than ever before, which is, I guarantee, that's his wish. I think he wants to make it greater than ever before. And if he can, we'll be out there cheering. I'll be cheering for him. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
You chose not to answer the question about city council.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no, I care very deeply about Jewish safety, and I look forward to rooting out anti-Semitism across the 5 boroughs and protecting Jewish New Yorkers and every New Yorker who calls the city home.
You see the stupid press aides running around like nuts, which happens all the time in these Oval Office things, and they look ridiculous. Anyway, shout out to Damon Blissett. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. Tomorrow I'll be watching one of the largest turkey giveaways in all of the Commonwealth of Virginia. That is by Leotis, the Turkey Man. He's actually called the Turkey Man, and apparently his name on the ballot says that, which is pretty exciting. Leotis Williams, who's a member of the Suffolk City Council. That'll be pretty amazing on the morning of November 21, 2025, the of course weekend before Thanksgiving. At any rate, the news of the evening is the announced resignation of Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says she's leaving Congress on the 5th of January. And the reason that matters is it will bring the total of Republicans in the body to 218, which is exactly the number needed to hold the majority. If another member were to depart in any way, shape, or form, things would get very interesting in the U.S. House. So that is a big deal. And so at any rate, and it's a big surprise, even though she has had some sort of conversion apparently on her views with regard to Donald Trump and so many other things, but that's for another live feed. This was about the incoming mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani, in the city that I love so much, New York. This is going to be a very interesting 4 years for Zohran Mamdani, which of course will overlap with the presidency of Donald Trump. But people want to change. It's clear that they want to change, and that's part of the reason why he was elected into office, which of course shocked the world. But he is one of the best communicators we've seen in politics since AOC. Notice how those communicators keep coming from New York. At any rate, this is Lauren Burke. This is Lauren Live. I'll be back soon. There's a lot to talk about as usual. And this thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene is just a huge, huge thing because it could have some sort of reverberations. Of course, Damon, you're right. She may run for the Georgia Senate seat. That was the rumor that she'd run for Georgia Senate, the Senate seat. But you never know. When people feel a sense of being under pressure and the party does not like them and they get into sort of, conflicts with the party, anything is possible. She might retire from politics. She might run for the seat. You run for the seat, you're under even more pressure. So there's a lot to say there. But, we'll see. I've got to read her lengthy statement that she posted online, and I will be doing that probably sometime tomorrow. And I'll probably go live tomorrow at some point, maybe talk about that a little bit. Until then, this is Lauren Live, and I'll be back very soon.